Yeah, so I just said hello, and are you still awake and up there? Because I am from Romania. I left Romania when I was 21. And I went to the States. I did my undergraduate studies in physics at Caltech in California, and then my PhD in physics at Yale University on the other coast of the US, in physics as well. And then in 2007, I came to Switzerland as a postdoctoral researcher at École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne, EPFL, where all this ecosystem with startups is based, or around where. So first I will tell you about my startup, what we're doing, the first half, and then the second half, how did we evolve, and the whole story, a little bit more personal. So Morphotonix provides additive-free brand protection. What is brand protection? You go to the store and you buy a toothbrush. You might buy kind of a higher-end one. You go home after you paid your money, and 1 month later or 2 weeks later, there are some pieces that start peeling off in your mouth. Or even worse, if it's a toothbrush for your kid, it's painted or it has some chemicals in it because it's actually not the real name that I don't want to go into, but it's a fake made in China, okay? So it's not critical, it won't kill you, but it's a very unpleasant experience, and you won't buy again the same brand. And that means that the company who is actually selling originally this toothbrush loses a customer. The same with cosmetics. You go, you find a lot of fake face creams, perfumes, and other lotions and potions. And then we get to the actual, even more dangerous stuff, electrical appliances or chargers. And there have been recently cases in the UK where a house almost blew up because they used a fake, not original product just for a phone charger. Nothing simpler than that. Just a phone charger can blow up your house, can kill your family. So what we're trying to do is offer the companies who are making the original products a way to differentiate themselves from the counterfeiters and to make it easier for the clients, for you, to recognize the original product from the fake product. There are many ways in which brand owners, companies who are making products, do that, make sure that people can assess the originality of the product. One of them is, for example, for beverages, tamper-evident closures and seals. So once you break the cap, it cannot be put back. The other one is track and trace systems. So you print a unique code that then you track across the supply chain, and you check it against a database, making sure that it's that particular unit that ends up from the production site to the client. Then there are anti-theft devices, mostly used for high-end products, so that you don't go to a Prada store and walk out with something that you sneaked into your pocket. And then there are authentication devices, which are very clear, most of them oriented towards the final client, you, who is buying the stuff. And you look at a product, and usually it's holograms, and you can tell, does this look like the real hologram? So for this, you need to know what to look for. So you need to be an educated customer. So the brand owner has to educate you. You have to look for this particular hologram. And it has to be a feature that cannot be easily copied by counterfeiters. These are the two requirements. What we're doing is not a sticker hologram. So usually you see, when you go to the pharmacy or when you buy a CD, for example, if it's the original, you have a sticker, a little sticker with a hologram in it, right? On it. Well, if you go to certain websites, you can find, for peanuts, rollers of stickers with holograms that look alike. They might not be the original thing. If you know exactly, if you had a microscope and you knew what to look for, you might detect the differences at the microscopic level between the two holograms. But to the consumer who just goes to the store and looks at the product, there is no difference, no big visual difference. And we want to go one step farther, sorry about that, and integrate holograms or holographic effects directly into the product or directly into the plastic. So you cannot peel it off. It's not a sticker that can be peeled off. It's not something that can be a look-alike. It has to be something integrated in the production chain, number one. And number two, it's extremely complex technology to copy. What it offers is what is called overt security. So it's open. You can see it with your eyes. It's not something that you need a special machine to read out, which would be covered and not visual. So it's a visual effect. The consumer can recognize it on the spot. We can also integrate features which are not so obvious. Why is it a good solution for anti-counterfeiting? Because it's expensive and complex technology to make. It's that simple, and it's going to stay that way for the next foreseeable future. And also from the pharma or medical or healthcare device point of view, there are no regulatory approval hurdles if you want to integrate this hologram inside a product, because there are no additives. It's just the material of the product. So what's the trick? We micro or nano pattern metallic master molds or tools from which plastic products are replicated during injection molding. So let's say you have, well, I don't want to take it off, but let's say you have one piece of plastic here, the backside of this battery. This was molded between two pieces of metal that were close together in a big injection molding machine. You have the two pieces of metal, you inject hot plastic, you cool it off, you take the pieces of metal apart, and then the plastic goes out. And that's your piece of plastic. So what we do is we nanostructure. We make very, very small features in the metal plate, let's say here, which act like a diffraction grating. If you're not technical, I can tell you it's like a prism effect. You put white light on it, and then different wavelengths diffract at different angles. So you have a color effect coming out of it. And we can do this on complex curved tools, metallic master molds, or master mold or tool is the same thing. And what you get out straight from the production chain is your piece of plastic or your product, the plastic piece, which molded the micro nanostructure, so replicated exactly what you had on the tool. And now, voila, it has holographic effects. So you don't need to add anything, and you don't need to change your production chain, or production time, or production parameters. So you do your standard thing, and you have an embedded security feature in your product that can be overt and covered at the same time. And I have some of these pieces with me. Actually, I'll pass them along at the end, or you can come and look for them. So we are an EPFL startup from the Micro Nanotechnology Lab of Professor Jürgen Brugger at EPFL. And now we are two core people, me and my colleague Vaida. And we have an extended reach within Switzerland. There are some haute école, which means like, technical schools. So technical schools, we work with a lot of technical schools in Switzerland to develop the technology and to test the injection molding. And we're also part of the Swiss Photonics Association and of various other organizations from this ecosystem that Benoit and David were talking about. So this is the two of us. We're both engineers. We're both physicists. Yay, okay. And I'll tell you later how we ended up surviving being just engineers and physicists. It's not that easy. We have about 13, 12 years of experience, each of us in research, writing grants, managing grants, doing research, writing papers, and a lot of international experience, which helps with knowing how to interact or being good at interacting with people, we believe. Okay, so that was kind of in a nutshell what the company is doing. Now, I'll tell you about the history, our history. So first of all, you will hear a lot of names from the support organizations that helped us. So you need to know where they're coming from. So we're in Lausanne, right, based 3.5 hours from Cluj, if you have a direct flight, which is not really the case yet. And Switzerland has is divided into a lot of cantons, okay? Lausanne this is Lac Le Mans, and Lausanne is somewhere here, and is in the Canton de Vaud. Because you will see that we had a lot of support from the Canton de Vaud itself. Okay, so that's just the geographical setup. Now, how it all started and when? It started in 2012. We were 3 PhDs and postdocs from the same lab who are going to present at the leading micro-nanofabrication conference in Hawaii. And we knew that they had an entrepreneurship challenge where physicists and engineers would come to the podium and would present for 10 minutes a business idea based on technology and would win something. So we thought, wouldn't it be fun? We're 3. We have to make something up. So we sat around and we brainstormed and brainstormed and brainstormed. And we came up with the idea of how about making holographic chocolate based on the controlled roughness of the chocolate surface. You know, all you have to do is make a mold which has a controlled roughness, a diffraction grating, then you pour the chocolate, take it out, voila, the chocolate has embedded holographic effects. Good. So we went into Veronica's kitchen, we played around, we went into the lab, we played around. We had to learn a little bit about chocolate, which is a nasty, nasty, nasty material, despite the fact that it's very tasty. And we came up with some demonstrators. And, you know, if you're looking at the right angle, in the right light, you could see beautiful light, beautiful colors coming out from the chocolate. So this is a piece of chocolate, it's just chocolate. There's nothing else, it's just molded chocolate, okay? And we won the competition, which consisted of an iPad that had to be split among 3 people. So what we did is one of us bought it in and put $600 towards the company so that we'd all have an equal share, and this is the 3 of us. Now that was in 2012. And then we said, okay, well, now we need to know if there's a need of holographic chocolate on the market. So Switzerland being Switzerland, with all the chocolate, with all the high-end chocolate, all the store chocolate, we went and talked to some high-end chocolatier in Lausanne. They were excited, they worked with us. We figured out that it's not that easy. We had to have the right mold material. Then we went and talked to the mold manufacturers in Europe, 3 of them in Germany, 2 of them in Switzerland. Basically, these are all the mold manufacturers for the chocolate in the entire world. There's another one in the US. So there's 6 big players. All your chocolate comes from molds which are made in 6 places in this world. Just as a little aside. And we developed the technology. They were very interested, and they said, yes, here are some master molds in metal. Do your trick with them. Then we'll run it in the big injection molding machine, and we'll spit out some plastic molds and see how it goes. So we went and talked and did that over and over again, and they weren't very bothered that at the beginning it didn't really work, and we weren't very bothered that at the beginning it didn't really work, and we pushed some more, and every time we analyzed the data very well, and we came back with an improved product, an improved prototype. And then we had to go, once we had nice looking molds, then we had to go to the chocolate market, and we traveled all over Europe. We talked to everybody. It turns out the big players, Lindt, Nestle, and so on, don't really know how to handle it from the marketing point of view, number 1. And number 2, It's also true that it's a delicate product because it's a surface effect. There are microstructures on the surface of the chocolate, and if the chocolate is left or goes through a heated wagon or a super cold plane, things change. The grains, the roughness of the chocolate changes, and the effects disappear. So it's a delicate product. Okay, it's not a mass production uncontrolled. And we realized that it's just a hard sell. You know, we went and talked to everybody, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, that's nice. It's really nice." So I don't know. One of you had the thing. Yeah, it's nice, right? Is anybody interested? Yes, they're interested. Number one. Number two, how much would they pay for it? That is very important. How much would they pay for it? Because they can be interested, but how much would they pay for it? Number one. And number two, what's the sales cycle? Are they going to buy it tomorrow? Or do they need to make tests and buy it 2 years from now? Because that's you being 2 years without money, with a big hope at the end. So, remember I talked about chocolate. We totally exhausted our reach into the chocolate market. We now have some clients for private, small to medium chocolaterie from the US, surprisingly enough, not from Europe yet. And then we figured out, listen, this is not going to work. We have to do something else. Okay, so we make holographic effects in the plastic molds, which are transferred to the chocolate. So we make holographic effects in plastic. Is there something there? Yes, there is. And we're not the first ones to think about it. There are actually big security companies in Europe providing a similar service. So based on the same physics, micro-patterning of metallic molds and replication into plastic. And then we went and talked to clients and talked to competition and see what's to be seen at fairs. How did we do this? Okay, sorry, this is not the right slide. Okay, so we had to get the money for it. I'll talk about it in the next slide. Right now the question is, okay, we had the idea of the chocolate. Now what next? We needed to know how to do it, how to make the business. So the idea was there, the molds were there. We need some business expertise, right? You want to make some money out of it. You cannot just go every time with a mold, and you have to have a strategy, right? So in 2012, we went to this 2-day pre-seed workshop organized in Lausanne, which is, I think, quite similar to what you're going to see in November, and I strongly advise you to go. Even if you don't want to have a startup, it's a lesson for life. How to think. It restructures your thinking. It's just good in general. Then we took all these other business courses, which have been offered by various partners in the ecosystem in Lausanne. 12 weeks, not continuously, but spread across 2 weeks, Venture Lab, some business creation courses, business development courses, and also in Switzerland we have the Commission for Technology and Innovation, CTI, which offers a coaching program for up to 2 years. You have to write a business plan. You're helped to write the business plan. You're pointed, you're asked what to do in the business plan. There's the feedback. It's excellent. It's an excellent learning. And we've been in the CTI coaching, so we get one person who knows about business, who understands our case, and then we build the business case together. And we started in 2013, and it's still continuing until now. Okay. Now, how did our structure after, in the early 2013, how did the company structure look like? Wow, we're 4 people, and we need who's at the top, who's at the bottom, who's to the left, and who's to the right. And we have an advisory board, and everybody has a very fancy name, you know, photonics technology, management of international projects, what their specialty is. So that's how we looked before. Meanwhile, we concentrated our efforts on 2 people, Vaida and myself. And basically right now you saw how the company looks. 2 people. One is doing the technology, the other one is doing the business. Okay, so how did we survive? How are we surviving? We got an INNO grant from the Transfer Technology Office from EPFL, which comprised 1 year of salary as a postdoc at EPFL to develop the technology. We got, as David was saying, he won the same Venture Kick competition. So this is a competition organized in Switzerland, where you come with a business idea, a business plan, a certain way in which you arrange the slides, and you have the first presentation. There are many companies, many ideas presented. There are some selected. Then there is some coaching with them. They give you some money for business development. Then there is a second stage 3 months later. There is another competition. You pass or you fail. They give you more money. And then there's a third level where you pass or fail, and they give you even more money. We won the first and the second stage, and that was 30,000 francs in the Morphotonix account, exclusively for business development. What this means is there's no technology development allowed in this money usually. So it was me, mostly, and Vaida going and talking, identifying clients, identifying fairs, events for plastic technology, for security, brand protection, and going and talking to people, visiting clients in Germany, in France, in the UK, in Belgium, in the Netherlands, going and talking to people, to clients, seeing what do they want, what do they want, would they buy it, are they interested? Let's start, are interested in doing a prototype, even with what we have right now. And this was a long 9 months, this 30K. Now we also got a Swiss Photonics grant of 5,000 francs, which went to EPFL. So try to really get as much money from, I don't know how the system is in Romania right now, but try to identify as many resources as possible and apply for all of them. It's a matter of convincing people that you have a case, even if it's little money. And then since the beginning of 2014, we're unemployed, officially, Vaida and myself. Canton de Vaud has a program where you very nicely are preparing your startup for 4 months if you have the good business case analyzed by them. And they offer you the unemployment help for 4 months while you take care of your business. And then we also applied for a project that will start in December. We got it accepted, and there we're going to have 50% of our salaries as postdocs at EPFL and 50% of our salaries from Morphotonix. But the state is only providing the postdoc salary. So Morphotonix has to come up with their own money, with our own money from revenues, from selling to clients. Also, SPECO, which is the economic Chamber of Economy of Canton de Vaud, has a certain program, and for high-tech startups, they reimburse 50% of certain costs up to 100,000 during 5 years. So there is some support in the air. Okay, now more about this Venture Kick competition, which actually was extremely, extremely helpful. So these are the two guys who are running it, Jordi and Beat. And I learned two super, super important things in this. They had training camps in between this stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 with the companies based on their own cases. And the idea is make the clients pay early for prototypes. See how much they're willing to pay. Are they willing to pay anything? And then we would enter the door, and Beat would say, how many clients did you call today? So you really need to understand the need on the market. Who is your client? Who is going to pay you? How fast and how much? Go and talk to them. Go and talk to people. Nobody's going to steal the idea. Like it has been said, ideas are not businesses. If somebody steals your idea and does it better than you, well, happens. Find another idea. It's really about implementation, about being known, and about talking to customers. Even if it's very early, go and talk to them. You'll get feedback. Maybe you'll get support. For a big company, some thousands of francs is not very much to try something out. And then you start developing something. And in our case, this was a very complex situation because we're not doing software. We're actually grabbing a chunk of metal that costs tens of thousands of francs, doing something on it, and then returning it and putting it in a production line with machines like that. So that's not easy to convince people to do, to sell you this thing. Okay? Okay. So that was my presentation roughly. Make a lot of waves anywhere you can because you never know who hears about you. You never know what ideas you get from the outside. And yeah, try to put it in the press as much as possible or in the right magazines, in the right channels, so that people know you exist, that you want to do something, and that you have an idea. That's all I can say. So thank you. If you have any questions.
Did you bring any chocolate samples?
No, a plastic sample. Yeah, Bogdan.
Well, you mentioned something, the client says something else or something.
Yeah.
Give advice to change ideas. Would you change the idea of your startup? Would any of you change?
I already changed it. So
well, you changed the market with the same technology.
It's not the same technology actually, because for the chocolate molds, the microstructures in the metal were supposed to survive 1,000 cycles of injection molding. So that was a different technology. And now what we're talking about, the industrial scale production for plastics, they need to withstand 1 million injection molding cycles. So we actually totally changed the technology. Roughly the idea is the same, but the technology is different. And yes, we are ready actually to change again. We are looking into etching directly into glass and other materials as well. Yeah.
So, as I understood, you will not look for fundings from investors.
So I did. When we started with the chocolate, I pitched. We had a very nice business case. We researched. We had market studies showing that the chocolate market is driven by innovation, additive-free, so health awareness and personalization. So what could be better than a holographic chocolate? That was what the marketing reports are saying. And then you go and talk to the Swiss chocolatier, and they would rather change their wives than their chocolate recipe, or that. I mean, really. So yes, I pitched for the chocolate. I got some interest, but people were saying, no, there is no market. Can you do something else? And then we started to feed the security idea, and then the investor said, oh, once you have the security thing in place, come back to us, please. But now we were overwhelmed by the response of the market, and we just didn't have the time to actually make a proper business planish type figure, because we do have a lot of prototypes who are paid with the clients, with clients.
But as said, perhaps, Benoit, if you get customers paying for that, perhaps you don't need investors.
Yes, that's what we hope, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. But yes, we are thinking about going for a second round of, not for a second round, for a second trial with the new approach, with the new market. Yeah. Any questions from Cluj people in Romanian?
Okay, so you had an idea. You sold it to the clients. Okay.
You're talking about the chocolate or about the
chocolate?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And the idea wasn't implemented in the product. Okay. Now it's on the market.
No.
No,
but okay, maybe it will be somewhere in a little place. Yeah, the chocolate part. Yeah.
Okay. So, what are your future plans to gain money from this idea? I mean, you have sold it to them, and no percentage from that idea.
So
for the future.
Okay, so what we sell actually is the integration, the microstructuring of the metallic tool, right? So let's say for the chocolate, right? So for the chocolate, somebody sends us the master mold for making molds. We design the pattern together with the customer, and we microstructure the hologram in the metallic part. And then we sell that for a price. And then that goes into the fabrication of the plastic molds for chocolate. So, and that's it. So once we sell one hologram on a tool, we get the money back, and it is. So we're really selling something tangible. It's not the idea, it's not a patent, it's not license. It's we make something in metal.
Nothing prevents me to doing the same thing right here in Cluj, right?
What?
So nothing prevents me to doing the same thing here in Cluj?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Except for the need for a clean room with the right machines and a huge amount of technological know-how and development and market and getting the markets. You know, but I mean, this is a very good question, because it's at the very basis, you know, of do I need an IP? If I have a patent, how do I know that others will not do the same? And you don't know. You don't know. You just have to make sure that you have a big enough market that even if somebody else comes, they won't do exactly the same thing, and you still have a percentage. You can live from a percentage of the market, so it has to be a big market, and you have to charge. And that's it, like accelerate and just be smart. Check out the competition. That's all. That's excellent. Check out the competition. Exactly like what has been said. For us, it was very difficult, but we did it, and now we know exactly what our advantages are. And you can always feed this to the client. You know, yes, you can work with X, Y, and Z, but you won't get A, B, and C. But yeah, you know, sometimes you don't have access to this information of the competition, and then you don't know. Maybe they are doing better. You know, they're more advanced, they're bigger. Oh my God, what am I going to do? There's nothing you can do. You just go and see. Make sure that you have something good, and try to understand why they don't have the whole market. What's limiting them? Understanding what's on the market and what you provide extra is key. And it can evolve. You can learn new things on the way, good or bad, huh? But, yeah.
I have a question about, I think it was a good question referring to what the product is. You say what the product is. And I think this can be a good starting point for a lot of inventors maybe, or scientists, to realize how many products you can make with the same technology. For example, in your case, you could have made, for example, you could have said, okay, I'm a chocolate company.
Yeah.
I make chocolate, I sell it, and I put this on, this is my distinct
brand. Yeah.
You can be a hologram company that you put it on other people's chocolate. They give it to you, you put your thing, and then you give it back and they sell it. You can be an equipment company where you make the equipment that makes that, and you sell the equipment to the chocolate manufacturers. Or you can just have that piece, that mold, and you sell it to the people who make the equipment, to sell it to people who make the chocolate. So with the same thing, you can have products that are radically different, with radically different markets, radically different business models, recurrent or not recurrent, and so on.
Revenue, yeah.
With the exact same thing. And I think that once people start thinking about it, they will go into the world of business models, and that is extremely rich.
Yeah,
who did this job for you? I mean, who was the person? Was there a product manager? Who was the product manager? Okay. So.
Who can be the product manager? You have an idea, and then you do get all this coaching from people who have seen tens of startups, and then they point you. So that was very useful, right? And then they point you to look at the market size. Who is the client? How easy you can access the client? Who's paying in the end? That's the whole question. Who is paying you in the end, and why? Right? So our first idea actually was to have a chocolate brand, you know, with the offices in Tokyo and New York and Paris. And then we're like, oh my God, that's a nightmare. We have no idea how to even deal with that concept. And then we started with something that's doable. You know, there are all these mold manufacturers and chocolate people just around the corner. Let's go and test this in a simple way.
Yeah, this concept of product manager is recently arrived on the scene in Romania. So until about 2 years ago, nobody understood this. I mean, nobody had ever heard it here. Nobody was talking about this concept. And about 2 years ago, I think a year and a half, 2 years ago, it started to become very, very popular in all of these kinds of events and entrepreneurship, mostly in the software, because it's mostly software. Because a lot of outsourcing companies started to want to make products, not just outsource. And they realized that they do not have any experience in product management. And all of a sudden, now everybody's talking about it, and everybody's trying to find people that have some kind of experience. Nobody has experience. And so now it's a fertile ground. If you talk about product management, people start to know what it is.
Yeah, at the very beginning, you have to be everything, pretty much. And then from a certain point, yes, you can start hiring people with specific knowledge. But at the beginning, or trying to make teams which are diverse, like what you're trying to do at the event in November, which is very good to have a business person helping a technology person, and vice versa, having a technology person make the business person understand the limits and the goals. Yeah, that's very good.